My friend, if you are seeing these signs, it may mean that God is leading you toward wealth and abundance. And when I say wealth, I don't just mean money in your bank account. I mean fullness of life, joy, peace, purpose, and the resources you need to carry out the dreams God has placed in your heart. Before we go any further, let me pause for just a moment. What I'm about to share with you can truly change your perspective and maybe even change the direction of your life. So, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. We post messages of faith, encouragement, and breakthrough that are meant to build you up in every season of life. I don't want you to miss a single word that God may be using to guide you. So again, hit that subscribe button right now. Subscribe to stay connected, and subscribe so you don't miss what God is preparing for you. Now, let's dive in. Sometimes in life, you start to feel a shift. It's not loud or obvious at first. You might not be able to explain it with words, but deep inside, there's a stirring, a quiet feeling that things are changing. It's as if the season you've been living in is slowly coming to a close and something new, bigger, and better is about to begin. Perhaps you've been praying for guidance, asking God to show you the way forward. Maybe you've been praying for help with your finances, your career, or even your relationships. You've been asking for a breakthrough, for a clear direction, for a sign. And then slowly you begin to notice small moments that feel like whispers rather than loud announcements. These whispers might be a chance encounter, a sudden idea, or even a quiet feeling that nudges you in a new direction. Friend, those whispers are not random. They are God's gentle way of letting you know that He is preparing you for a new level of life. When God leads you to wealth, it is never just about personal comfort or luxury. God's idea of abundance is always bigger than ourselves. Wealth, when it comes from Him, is a tool. A tool to bless your family, yes, but also a tool to help the poor, the hurting, and those who have no voice. It is a tool to build something lasting, something that will carry goodness into the lives of generations to come. Think about it. Abraham was blessed not just to enjoy blessings for himself, but so that through him all nations would be blessed. So if you feel a stirring inside, a hunger for more, a sense of dissatisfaction with your current life, chances are God is calling you into a new season. But how can you tell? What are the signs that God is leading you into prosperity? Not just financial prosperity, but prosperity of life, mind, and spirit. Let's explore some of the clear signals that show you are on the path He has planned for you. One of the first signs is discomfort. You begin to feel uneasy where you are. Maybe your job, which once felt safe, now seems limiting. Maybe your daily routine, which once brought comfort, now feels empty. You look around and feel like this can't be all there is. This discomfort doesn't mean you are ungrateful. You can be thankful for what you have and still sense that God is calling you to something greater. Discomfort is often God's way of shaking you awake. Just like Moses, who had to live a life of comfort as a prince in Egypt to lead God's people to freedom. Sometimes God needs to disturb our comfort zones to prepare us for our calling. Along with discomfort, you may start noticing new ideas flowing into your mind. Suddenly, you think of creative solutions, new ways to help people, or business opportunities that never occurred to you before. These ideas may seem random at first, but they are not. They are seeds planted by God, just like Joseph, who had dreams of leadership long before he ever saw them fulfilled. Your imagination is being stirred because God is showing you glimpses of what your future can hold. Maybe you start sketching plans, writing notes, or researching ideas that feel bigger than your current situation. That's God planting inspiration in your heart. As you follow these ideas and step forward, something amazing happens. The right people start to appear. Opportunities, connections, and encouragement seem to arrive out of nowhere. Maybe you meet someone who gives you the perfect advice, or you stumble across a book, a sermon, or a video that speaks exactly to your situation. These moments are not coincidences. They are divine alignments. Think of Esther, who happened to be in the palace at the exact right moment to save her people. God is orchestrating similar alignments in your life too, placing people and opportunities right where they need to be to help you move forward. Another sign is spiritual sensitivity. You begin to hear God more clearly, not necessarily as an audible voice, but deep in your heart. You start knowing what is right and what is wrong. You notice yourself losing interest in meaningless distractions, gossip, social media scrolling, or petty arguments no longer hold the same appeal. Instead, you feel drawn to prayer, meditation, and meaningful conversations. This shift is God preparing your heart. He strengthens your inner life before blessing your outer circumstances. David, for instance, learned to hear God's voice while tending sheep long before he became a king. Sometimes this preparation includes loss. You might lose a job, a friendship, or an income stream. At first, it feels unfair and painful. But remember, God is like a gardener. Pruning always comes before new growth. Joseph lost his family, his freedom, and his reputation before he rose to save nations. Sometimes, God has to remove things that cannot come with you into your new season. Loss can feel painful, but it is often a sign that He is making space for something greater. You may also notice a shift in your words and thoughts. You stop thinking like a victim and stop speaking small or defeated statements. Even before your finances change, your mindset starts to transform. You start saying, I can. Instead of I can't, you begin believing that God created you for more. The Bible reminds us that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Your thinking is now shaping a different future. Another beautiful sign is generosity. Even before you have abundance, you feel compelled to give. You might give your time, energy, or even a small amount of money. Giving opens the door for receiving. Think of the widow who gave her last 2 coins. Jesus honored her generosity. Even small acts of giving are seeds that grow into a harvest. When you give, you align with God's principle of abundance, and you begin to attract blessings that you cannot yet imagine. Finally, you may feel a hunger for growth. You suddenly want to learn more, prepare more, and become better. You might invest in books, courses, mentors, or wisdom in any form. This hunger for knowledge is another sign of God preparing you. Remember Solomon. When God asked what he wanted, Solomon asked for wisdom. Because he chose wisdom first, God also gave him wealth and honor. Similarly, your hunger to grow and learn is preparing you to receive the blessings God has in store. Friend, all these signs, the discomfort, the ideas, the people, the inner sensitivity, the losses, the shift in mindset, the generosity, and the hunger for growth are not random. They are God's way of signaling that a new season is coming. A season of abundance, of purpose, and of fulfillment. Pay attention to them, step forward in faith, trust God's timing, and prepare your heart, mind, and life for the blessings He is about to release. Friend, if you are noticing these things, it is not random. God is preparing you. But I want to pause right here because we're about halfway through this message. And I want to remind you again, if this word is speaking to your heart, if it is encouraging you and lifting you up, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Don't wait. Stay connected so you can keep growing in faith, purpose, and abundance. Subscribe today so you won't miss the next breakthrough God has for you. Now let's continue. There's an important pattern in the Bible. God always gives vision before He gives provision. That means He shows you the dream first, long before He gives you the resources to make it happen. Think about Noah. God gave him the blueprint. for the ark before the flood ever came, or Abraham, who was promised descendants before he even had a child, or Joseph, who saw dreams of leadership while he was still in prison. God does this so that your faith grows first. Vision builds your faith. Provision builds your comfort. And God wants your faith to come before your comfort. Between vision and provision is a process. This process is where your character is shaped, where your discipline is tested, and where your trust in God deepens. If you can't handle small things well, how can you be trusted with bigger things? That's why movement often comes before money. God blesses your steps of faith. David fought lions and bears before he fought Goliath. He was faithful in the little things before he became king. This process also includes divine relationships. God sends mentors, encouragers, and partners to help you along the way. Sometimes these people don't even realize how important their role is in your journey, but they are part of God's plan. That's why it's so important to pay attention to who shows up in your life in this season. Another part of the process is spiritual maturity. Without wisdom and patience, wealth can destroy instead of build. That's why God grows you inwardly before He expands you outwardly. Solomon received wisdom, and that wisdom made him one of the richest and most respected kings in history. Wealth without wisdom is dangerous, but wisdom protects you as you step into new levels. Sometimes that process also means letting go. You may have to release habits, people, or even places that no longer serve your future. Letting go is hard, but it makes room for the new. Jesus had to leave behind his old life before stepping into his ministry. You too may need to release something so you can receive what God has prepared. And through all of this, God gives you peace. Peace without proof. Even when you don't know how everything will come together, you feel a quiet confidence that it will. That peace is divine assurance. Daniel had it in the lion's den. You can have it in your life too. Friend, if you are seeing these signs,